Welcome to my channel. My name is Rhea, and in this video we are going to talk about the 7 tips that I'd like to mention for weight loss, right? And let's get started. But before that, I do request you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can be notified every time I post a video. Now, the first tip that I'd like to give is that eat enough protein, right? Protein is extremely important for the body. It's not only for people who work out, right? It's for everyone. It's essential. It helps the body repair, it helps in maintenance. But from a weight loss perspective, it's important because it provides satiety, right? It provides a feeling of fullness. And because of that, our cravings can reduce, our hunger levels can reduce, and if we are less hungry and we are satisfied, then we are less likely to reach out for that biscuit or that cake or that packet of chips or that sweet treat or anything else. So that's the first tip that I'd like to give, that consume enough protein. And for the past 10 years, I have made sure that I've eaten enough protein in a day, and that has been a game changer. It's not only helped me control my appetite, it helps in muscle recovery because I'm quite active. So the first tip that I'd like to give is that eat enough protein, and the satisfaction will be there, the feeling of fullness will be there, and that'll help reduce those cravings and that need to reach out for that cake or box of chips or box of biscuits. The second tip I'd like to give is that replace refined carbohydrates with complex carbohydrates, right? And refined carbohydrates are things like white bread, white rice, white table sugar, and replace these refined carbohydrates with things like oats, oatmeal, brown rice, a sweet potato, right? And this can really help in the weight loss process. So that's my second tip. And refined carbohydrates, generally speaking, tend to increase blood sugar levels really fast, right? We eat something and the blood sugar levels shoot up. And then because they shoot up so fast, they also come down crashing, right? And this creates that roller coaster in the blood sugar levels. And because of that, we need to eat again when the sugar goes down. And what that can do, and I'm talking from personal experience, is that it can really create a need to eat every 2-3 hours, right? And we might go for things, for snacks that are not really good for us. So because of this blood sugar fluctuation, right, we eat, it goes up, and then it comes down, and when it's down, we need something to eat. So it creates this dependence on food and the need to eat every 2-3 hours. And complex carbohydrates, on the other hand, release the glucose in the blood in a very steady manner, right? It's steady. So it's not up and down. No, it's steady up and then it balances out. So we don't feel that crash, right? That feeling of, oh, I'm tired. I just ate 2 hours ago, but I'm tired now. No, it helps us balance that out, and that can be great if we really want to control our sugar cravings and if we really want to just be healthier, right? Because personally, when I used to be on that blood sugar roller coaster, I needed something every 2 hours, and it was just not fun. Along with the crash comes with feeling low, it comes with feeling tired, feeling lethargic. So it's not a very good place to be at. But for this video, I just want to mention that balancing out the blood sugar levels, replacing refined carbs with complex carbs so that our cravings go down, so that our blood sugar is maintained, is a good way to boost weight loss efforts. The third tip that I'd like to give is avoid processed foods, right? And oftentimes processed foods are things like that packet of biscuit or that packet of chips or that packet of donuts, right? Anything that's really processed. And the first reason is that usually processed foods come with a lot of chemicals and preservatives, which are really not the best for the body. And for weight loss, right, these foods are loaded with sugar and fat and are very calorific, generally speaking. So unknowingly, right, and I've done this myself, I'll reach for a pack of biscuits and I'll eat it, and then I'll realize, oh, that's a lot of empty calories I just took in, devoid of nutrition, right? So processed food, generally speaking, has no nutrition, no vitamins, no minerals. nothing that the body can really use. It has calories, empty calories. And when we do that, right, our body doesn't feel satisfied because it's not getting the nutrients. So that's my next tip, right? Reducing processed foods, right? This will reduce preservatives, colors, flavors that we intake, and at the same time, we will reduce the fats and the sugars coming in from these foods. And often these foods are very calorific, right? So because we reduce these foods, the calories can go down as well and thus help boost weight loss. Moving on to the fourth tip, I think it's important to know how much we are eating, right? A ballpark. We don't need to count every single calorie, and there will be days where we will need more food and less food. But knowing how much we eat is important, right? Because we might not know how much we're eating. We might be eating a lot of food, a lot of empty calories, right? And not feeling full at all. Or we might be undereating, and both overeating and undereating can actually prevent weight loss. So it becomes important to know how much food we are consuming, how many calories, is the protein intake adequate, because tracking all these things will help you assess your needs and then come up with a plan that's suitable for you. So that's my next tip, that knowing how much we eat is important. Knowing how many calories we consume is important, right? So personally, I don't track my calories every single day, and I don't have like an exact amount of calories that I consume every day, but I know my ballpark requirement, right? It can go up to 300 calories, it can go down 100 200 calories depending on many things, how my day went, what my activity levels were like, and a bunch of other things, right? How stressed I am, all that stuff. But I know a ballpark of how much I consume in a day, and knowing that, I think, can really boost weight loss efforts. Because as someone interested in diet and nutrition, right, I have experimented a lot with food. I have tried different diets, and they all have their benefits, they all have their merits. At the end of it, you have to find something that works for you. But one thing I have realized is that often most people don't know how much they're consuming, right? And just knowing that and modulating that can lead to the biggest weight loss. It need not be you need to go on a really strict diet, right? It might just be that you need to reduce the quantities that you're eating. You might be eating healthy, but you might be eating a lot of healthy things and consuming calories that are just adding weight. So that's my next tip, that knowing what you eat is important, and there are lots of free calorie counting apps these days. You can just download them and go from there. The next tip I'd like to give is to do some strength training, right? Strength training is important, and this is important because strength training not only helps us maintain bone density, which by the way goes down as we age, and as we age it's important to maintain bone density so that we don't get injured in our old age, but it also helps us build muscle. And muscle is extremely important if we want to increase our BMR, basal metabolic rate. The more muscle you have, the more calories you will burn at rest, the more food you can eat without putting on weight. And muscle is also something that reduces as we age. It gets more and more difficult to build muscle. So doing strength training regularly to build muscle, to maintain muscle mass, is not only important from a longer term perspective of maintaining health and bones and not getting injured, but also from a perspective of burning more calories while you're sitting, having a higher BMR. So any kind of strength training, whether that's lifting weights, whether that's Pilates, whether that's body weight training, anything that stimulates the bones and the muscles is important. And the next tip is that be active, right? Being active throughout the day is important. And little things like, getting up every hour for 2-3 minutes, moving around, when you're speaking on the phone, walking around up and down, these things can increase the energy expenditure outside of exercise, right? Because we're active. And it can also prevent the side effects of sitting for too long, because sitting for too long is known to cause back pain and things like that. So moving, for 5 minutes every hour, whether that's to get your coffee, whether that's a little walk to get your green tea, or whether that's, calling someone up and having a 5-minute chat with them, I think these things add up, and they can help us not only stay active and increase mobility, but also increase the expenditure outside of exercise. So that was my 6th tip. Now coming down to the last tip. The last tip is that get enough sleep, right? Sleep is extremely important. Less sleep has shown to increase cravings. So if there are days where you slept 3-4 hours, it's more likely that you'll reach out for sugary things, sweet things, and you'll have more cravings compared to the days that you're well rested. So getting enough sleep is important, 6 to 8 hours, I would say. And less sleep can also increase our stress levels, right? And increased stress can cause increased cortisol. And increased chronic cortisol can prevent weight loss. It can cause accumulation of fat, especially around the midsection. So getting enough sleep, being rested, recovering is important for weight loss. It will not only help you control your cravings, but it will also help reduce that stress, reduce that chronic cortisol that is very common in this fast-paced modern world, right? So that was my last tip, that get enough sleep. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know if there are any videos you'd like me to make related to diet and nutrition, any topics that you'd like me to cover, and I'd be happy to do those. So have a great day, and I hope this video was useful to you. Bye.